Hello, everyone. It is your boy, Stalky Boy. Now, before I get into this video, a little quick warning. I just woke up, and I'm doing this unscripted, so this could be a little crazy, but I woke up and I was like, oh shoot, I kind of forgot. I still gotta talk about Michael Myers builds, because it's been a little bit. I don't remember when I made that guide. I don't remember anything right now. I woke up and all I know is Dead by Daylight, Fine Dining, and Breathing. So, let's go ahead and get into this. As you can see, I already have a build. Whoa, right there. This is the build I've been using a lot as of right now. Now, a lot of people ask me, Stalky Boy, what is the best build on Michael Myers? And to that, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know. I have tried so many builds with various amounts of success. A lot of builds seem to work really well on him. I don't know what his best perk is. I don't know what his best this or that is. He is so simple that so much works with him. You can have builds that increase the lethality of like tier 2, or you could focus on tier 3. If you're crazy, tier 1. I would never do that. I'm not an advocate for tier 1 Michael Myers gamers, so I'm not having that in here unless it's Scratch Mirror, which I'll get into a Scratch Mirror build, of course. But to hurry and explain this build, Surge I find to be a very good perk on Mr. Michael. Is it super amazing? Could I probably put something else here that would be better than Surge? Yes. I enjoy it. It's kind of nice to have on, and when you have Ruin still up, they work very, very well together. So for those that are new to Dead by Daylight and have no idea what these perks do, Surge, when you down someone with an M1 attack, whatever, as you can see here, within a 32-meter radius, any gens that are active will get immediately basically kicked, essentially, but they lose 8% of their progress while that's like going on, right? So that's pretty cool. The downside to Surge is it can only be active every 40 seconds, which kind of hurts it quite a bit. But the cool thing about Michael Myers is he only downs people with M1 attacks. So, pretty gaming for it. In Tinkerer, when I was hesitant about this perk, right? People within my chat were like, Stalky, you should try Tinkerer out. I think it's really good. I was like, I don't know, man, I don't know. So I gave it a few spinaroonies, and it's been pretty freaking epic. I feel like I can actually guard the gens a little more. And another thing I really like about Surge and Tinkerer, right? And if Ruin happens to be up, Ruin, if it's a little, we'll get into that. But the cool thing about Tinkerer and Surge, right? So let's say like Gen Explodey Poopy, you have like tier 3 nearly ready, or one of them is injured, whatever the case may be. You head over, 2 people are on a gen. What I often find happens, Tinkerer gives you enough time to get there when there's just one person. By the time the invisibility is out, that's when the gen should finish. That's what I've kind of noticed. If there's 2 people, it'll finish before the full invisibility goes out. Gen gets 70% done. It tells you where this gen is being done, and as you can see, it gives you 16 seconds to get there while you have no tear radius. So that's what this perk does. So you run over there. 2 people are on the gen or whatever. If 2 people are on the gen, you smack one person down, they go down, and it because of Surge, it gives you that 8% regression, and the person, if someone decides to commit, they will not finish it because of that, which is, it has saved so many gens for me, which is why I do not like to take Surge off. And if Ruin happens to be on, then that big wombo combo, like you start chasing the other guy off the gen, and shoom! By the time the gen, like you come back to it, it's like 50% is already gone. It's absolutely nutty. Very much been enjoying this build because of that. But Ruin, very simple. When a survivor's working on a gen, if they go off of the gen, it automatically starts regressing at 200% the normal regression speed. And what that means is, the 100% is the speed at which you kick a gen. So the 200% would, like that additional 100, basically it just doubles the amount of regression that would normally happen, and you don't have to kick it as soon as they're off. So I find this really helps Myers a lot in the early game when you're like stalking people, and you might be saying, but Michael doesn't have a lot of mobility. He doesn't really necessarily need that, because at the start, if you're staring at people, they'll still get off the gen, so you don't need to be up in their face, so you can still get that regression going pretty early on. So you can actually make your presence known on purpose to get them off of the gen. Now, this last perk, if you're not comfortable with play with your food, you could switch out with surveillance, which I'll get into later. I have had videos, I've had one video, I believe, explaining why I like this perk so much. Feel free to check it out. I could maybe in the future have a more in-depth kind of thing, but I'll kind of briefly go over why I like play with your food. Play with your food. So, as a lot of people know, Myers has a very big problem. He's slow. He's really slow. Not mentally. I'm sure he's a really smart guy, but physically, the man, especially in tier 1, and even in tier 3, when you want to be going from person to person to person, he's very slow. And the nice thing about Myers and play with your food is once you find your obsession, you start stalking them, and you don't let go of that stalk button, and it'll eventually lose chase, whether they're running right in front of you or not. It'll always lose chase. It's not instant like Wraith, but you can build your power while getting stacks. So a common strategy I'll use, if I happen to find the obsession first in the match, it can be really nice with tier 1. It can speed up tier 1 because tier 1 Myers is 105% movement speed, and then normal movement speed for Killer is 150. So let's say you find the obsession first, and while you're stalking him, you're gonna gain stacks. So play with your food. So while you're stalking, you know, you get like close to tier 2, and then you get 1 stack. Bam, you're now 110%, you're a Assassin's Huntress, so that it'll be a lot harder to starve you. So you stalk a little bit more, you get to tier 2, bam, you have 2 stacks. And then by the time you 99 to tier 3, you have 3 stacks. Now you're in tier 2, so you're 130% movement speed. That is insanely fast, and you're 16 meters, right? And usually at the start, people tend to usually have 2 people on a gen. And with Tinkerer, you're going to know when these gens are near completed. So you run over with play with your food, 130%, activate tier 3, and I have had situations where it's nearly been a GG from like the first 5 minutes. I believe I have a few videos. I think I have a video, it's like the fastest Myers match I've ever done or something like that, and I have 2 of them. But I've had, you may say, oh, how often is that going to happen? I have it happen maybe about 30% of my games where play with your food really comes in. It saved me quite a few times. And increasing mobility is nice, especially with Tinkerer and Surge, and sometimes Ruin when it's active. You can get to the gen a little faster. So I wanted to give this build a little bit more of my attention, since this is typically the build I've been running most of the time as of right now. So that's why I've been explaining this build a little longer. I will get to other builds and I won't take as long with them. But I really want to know, like, for some people that will probably, I can hear it in the comments, oh my goodness, he talked for like 30 minutes about the one build. I'm trying to explain to newer players as well why I like the mentality behind my builds and stuff. They don't fully understand, like, the game yet. They want to kind of understand why these perks are good on Mookle, all that fun stuff. So yes, it's going to take some time. I'm sorry. But anyways, if you don't like play with your food though, you can always switch it for another perk that I find works very, very good on this build, Surveillance. So what Surveillance does, when you kick a gen, that gen will be highlighted in white. So it's white when you kick it, right? Or Ruin or Surge can both activate it. So I find it has very good synergy with all of it. And it gives you like a little bit of extra information so you can get to the gen before Tinkerer procs. So that's really nice. And then, you know, it just gives you that little bit of extra information. And for those that are new, when you touch the gen, it'll turn yellow. So when it turns yellow, you know that a survivor is now on that gen again. So, and it can also give you some early information at the start of the game. Is with Ruin, survivors tend to like stop touching gens sometimes, and then you can be like, oh, so there's someone over there. And then you head over there and have fun and all that fun stuff. On to the next build. All right, so this build is for beginners. So when you're just getting into the game, you're not gonna have a lot of the teachables. So this build is for you. So the idea of this build, save the best for last. Every time you hit someone that is not the obsession, you get a token. For each token you have, your cooldown, so when you smack somebody, when Myers looks at his knife, that will be 5% quicker, and you can get up to 8 tokens, which means you could get a 40% reduction to the cooldown, which is insanely fast. you'll be like ending chases in tier 2 super quickly, along with tier 3. It helps with your snowball in tier 3. It helps your tier 2 out. You can dish out more pain, which will help out Sloppy Butcher, which, like I mentioned earlier, is just a perk that slows down healing, which I might actually future me might edit this little build to actually be the first one because it's a beginner build. So I'm talking like this is in the future, and it is. I explained this is one of the latter builds I explained, but it might be at the beginning. Whatever, it doesn't really matter too much, just to clear up some confusion. And then you have Whispers, which 32 meters. It'll tell you when a survivor's within those 32 meters, it'll tell you that the survivor is like, I don't want to play with you, Web. I'm sorry. I'm doing a video. Rude. Whispers. When a survivor is within 32 meters of you, the little perk will light up and you'll hear this little whoa sound. Like the entity's like whispering to you. So it'll tell you when a survivor is close by, and that just helps out with this early game, which Myers struggles with. And then Dying Light. So every time you hook someone that's not the obsession, which kind of pairs well with Save the Best for Last, you'll get a 3%. You'll get a token, which is 3% penalty to everybody that isn't the obsession. So it'll slow down gens a little bit. It's not an amazing perk because the drawback is the obsession not only isn't affected by it, but also they get a 33% action speed bonus to unhooking and healing, so altruism. So to combat this, you have Sloppy Butcher, which slows down the obsession's healing a little bit. So that's why you have that. And then all the other survivors are slowed down. This is just like when you're just starting. It's just supposed to be like a little bit of help with slowdown and stuff like that. So that's why you have it. And then if you want to be ballsy, you can switch this for play with your food, which is what I did. So, yeah, that's something that you can most certainly do. Anyways, next build. All right, here's another simple but effective build. A lot of people love the Monitor and Abuse and Infectious Fright combo. Now, Infectious Fright, not Infectious, this is Monitor and Abuse. Monitor and Abuse, extremely good on Michael Myers. So what this perk does, when you're not in chase, it decreases your terror radius by 8 meters. I do not know what is wrong with me. My bowels are acting up. If I have the hiccups, I will be so upset. I'm gonna scare myself, and then I won't have them. Maybe a little bit more water. Monitor and Abuse. When you're not in chase, it decreases your terror radius by 8 meters. And when you're in chase, it increases your terror radius by 8 meters. And it also increases your field of view by 10 degrees, which is kind of nice for Michael because it gives him like that little bit of extra screen to possibly stalk somebody. The reason why this is so good, Michael Myers, in tier 1, he doesn't have a terror radius. In tier 2, he has a 16 meter terror radius. So if you put this perk on in tier 2, you're going to have a 8 meter terror radius. If you want to get even more freaky deaky about it, you can put on Dead Rabbit. And contrary to popular belief, Dead Rabbit, when paired with Monitor and Abuse, does not make your terror radius 4 meters. It will be 6 meters. That is how that works. Why that is, I don't know. That's just how it works. Anyways, so 8 meter terror radius is Michael Myers. You're basically going to be breathing down their necks by the time you get up to him. It's very good for getting that first hit. And then when you're in tier 3, when you start snowballing, that's when this comes into play, Infectious Fright. It plays so well because once you're in chase, it gives you that additional terror radius. And for those that don't know, Infectious Fright, everybody in your terror radius, when you down somebody, will scream. So you're in tier 3. Tier 3 has a normal terror radius of 32 meters. Of course, like, it's cut down when you're not in chase, but in chase, it'll be a 40 meter radius. And if you have Dead Rabbit on it, further extenuates this, and I believe you have a 42 or 44 terror radius. I'm not actually sure about that in chase. So you have this very large terror radius in tier 3 when you're chasing somebody. So when you down somebody, pow, you're gonna know where a ton of people are, so you know to slug and to go after those as well. And if you don't know what slugging is, feel free to check out my Michael Myers guide. I have an explanation on that. I explain like some strategies and stuff. Feel free. I'm sure I'll probably put a link in the description unless I forget. If not, click on the channel. It's literally like the channel trailer or whatever, and feel free to look at that. It's like 10 minutes. Epic. Okay, so build. So it's very good for doing the whole snowballing thing, which is what you want to do with Michael Myers in tier 3. And then I also just like a classic kind of combination. Pop goes the weasel. After you hook someone, the next generator you kick, you have to kick one within 45 seconds. But the next generator you kick within those 45 seconds after you hook someone will regress a generator by 25%. Very good. Very, very epic gen regression build. And then barbecue and chili. You could use throwing tremors, but I decided barbecue and chili for a few reasons. One, I mean, it's nice. It pairs with Pop Goes the Weasel. So for those that don't know, when you hook somebody, barbecue and chili shows everyone away from the hook that isn't in a locker or hiding behind a gen 40 meters away. Typically, people don't hide behind gens anymore. I don't see that happen very often. Some people get into lockers if they think you have it, but anyways, so this is it. Kind of, if people are close to you, you'll get the infectious fright information. If people are far away, you'll get the barbecue and chili information, and it pairs well with Pop Goes the Weasel because then you know what gen to go and kick and get that progression in. And also a nice thing when you're starting off, barbecue and chili also gives you stacks. So these stacks, when you hook someone, you get a stack and you get a 25% increase in blood points. When you hook everybody at least once, you get a 100% increase. So you'll like double the amount of blood points that you get for that match. Very nice when you're starting off to help get through the grind of Dead by Daylight, get more add-ons, get more perks, you know, whatever it be, level people up. Very nice. And it also, unlike throwing tremors, it shows people out of position. So if you're in tier 3, you could potentially show someone who isn't on a gen or stuff, which is why barbecue and chili can be nice. Throwing tremors is 100% like they can't hide behind the gens and stuff like that, but I just feel like barbecue and chili with the other pluses that I mentioned is kind of more worth it. Anyways, on to the next little thingy. Huzzah! Alright, next build. So this build is a little bit of a weird one. I don't even know if it's technically the best one for this, but I tried it out once and it had good synergy and I had fun with it. So basically this build is kind of more for hurting people like while they're injured kind of thing, like being a sneaky Miguel, right? So monitored abuse, already talked about that, you know what that does. Nurse is calling, so people within 28 meters that are healing, you'll see their aura. And then sloppy butcher, which makes the healing time take longer, basically. So the synergy, the idea of this build is basically like you get a whole bunch of people injured, and then while they're healing, you'll have a really small radius. You sneak up on them and you down them again, and you keep this cycle going. And then maybe like you down somebody, and then the other person is healed, and then you have tier 3 ready. You pop it, smack somebody down, and then they have to start healing, and then it's just a big old cycle of healing, and it takes longer, and then you see it, and then you smack them down anyways, and then they're just never happy, and then nobody's happy, and it's very sad for them. For you, it's fun. And then I just have corrupt intervention to slow down the early game, so at the start, the 3 furthest generators are blocked for 2 minutes, which just helps Michael get out of tier 2 and stuff like that. Not like the best build, but just want to have some fun and be a sneaky, spooky Miguel. This could be a fun build to try out. Alright. Next build. This build is just kind of more of a reliable gen build as well. So we have Pop Goes the Weasel. I already explained what that did. Oppression, which basically when you kick a gen, the 3 closest generators to it will also be kicked. And if a survivor happens to be on that gen, it'll give them a hard skill check, so it could potentially give you some information as well. And then we have play with your food, so you can just get around the map faster. Once again, you could probably switch this for surveillance if you don't like play with your food or whatever it be. I personally really like it. This is a build I rocked for quite a while, and I very much enjoyed it. And then barbecue and chili, I already explained that. So same kind of deal. It's just a nice kind of safer one, like if you don't really like dealing with ruin or something like that. You have a more consistent kind of gen regression build, gen protector, and that's Miguel needs a lot of help in terms of gens a lot of the time because he can't be in a lot of places. If you really wanted to, you could also switch play with your food for like Tinkerer or something like that, or Surge. You could be crazy and do that, surveillance, whatever it be, or you could go Tinkerer, Surge. You could do something like that, Tinkerer, surveillance. You could do something like that, and that could be pretty strong as well. So those are a few build ideas. Alright, so the famous Scratch Mirror. We'll get into a few builds with that. Undying, when a hex is cleansed, it will be like undying first, no matter what. So whatever hex you have going, it will save it. essentially, and it also shows the auras of all survivors that pass totems while it's up for a little bit. It only shows it for like a few, no, not a few seconds, as long as it's close to the dual totem, so you could potentially get a lot of information with it. Corrupt Intervention, already explained that perk. Play with your food, also explain that, except in Scratch Mirror, I'll explain why that's useful. Play with your food, you're going to be very slow in Scratch Mirror, and sometimes you're just going to need a little bit of extra speed to help you catch people. And Devour Hope. Now, a lot of people probably question my sanity when they saw Undying here in the first place with Devour of Hope. And that's fairly understandable. You see, this is what I consider just to be a very fun Scratch Mirror build when it works. Causes panic. It's very, like, that gives you that extra jump scare factor when Devour Hope goes off for those that are new. Devour Hope, every time you hook someone and you're 24 meters away from the hook, when they get unhooked, you'll get a stack. Now, when you get this stack, or token, it doesn't really do anything until you really get to 3. I'm pretty sure the little haste effect, it says the 2 tokens, is false news. I'm pretty sure it's never given the haste ass effect, and I don't know if they ever fix that. So, once you get to 3 tokens, you can start insta-downing people. And then once you get to 5 tokens, you can just start killing people, mooring them. So, when you down somebody, you can just straight up moor them. Kill them, essentially, for those that are, like, super new to the game. Like, you don't need to hook them, you just straight up kill them. This isn't what I'd consider be the best Scratch Mirror build, but I think it's super fun. So, take that as you will. Another build that you could do. Corrupt Intervention is also nice because you can see through walls so they can't be immersed. Also, if you do Scratch Mirror, please put on Hawking's Leary's, not that. A Midwich, if you're desperate. I wouldn't go to Midwich. Leary's is the glasses offering, but those 3 maps are pretty solid for Scratch Mirror. Granted, Midwich only if that's like the only thing you have and you just, like, there's something in your body that's screaming to play Scratch Mirror. I don't get that very often. I actually don't have a super large amount of fun with Scratch Mirror. I just prefer to play Michael normally. But, anyways, another build that you could do that's a lot more safe, you could put on Haunted Grounds. That could be really scary. You could put on Haunted. You could do something like this. Or another perk that I think, I guess, yeah, for those that are new. No one escapes death once all the gens are powered up. You're 4% faster, and everyone has the exposed status effect. And Haunted Grounds will be a normal hex totem. And when it's cleansed, everyone will be exposed for 60 seconds. So that'll be fun. That could come in handy towards the end if they happen to not cleanse anything, and then you have your Noed active. And then they might trigger Haunted instead, and then they all die. Very fun. And you typically know where just about everybody is because of Scratch, so it goes very well together, and you have no tear radius, which is always fun. Another thing that another perk you could also try is Dragon's Grip. So after you kick a gen, for the next 30 seconds, if a survivor comes back to the gen and touches it, they'll be exposed for 60 seconds. I did try it out on Scratch Mirror. I have the video on the channel, I believe, but it was very fun. It was a very fun time. Alright, so this is for Infinite Tombstone. Now, Infinite Tombstone, I imagine you're doing it for the achievement. If so, I wish you the most luck. One of the toughest achievements to get in the game, if not the hardest achievement to get in the game. So, for those that don't know, Michael Myers has a Tombstone add-on, and basically when you get to tier 3, you can just moor people, healthy or injured, whatever it be. You just walk up to somebody, and when you're like breathing down their neck, it'll give you a little prompt to kill, and then you just click the button and you instantly moor them. With the Eerie one, you're a killing machine for 60 seconds without add-ons. So after you moor someone, tier 3 keeps going. With the Tombstone piece, you basically, with this little, I'll show it, with the Tombstone piece right here, basically when you get to tier 3, when you kill somebody, you get out of tier 3, so you can kill one person. Way better of an add-on. The reason why is because this add-on makes you slower. I explain it all in my Myers guide, but yes. So there's that, and then Fragrance Of Hair, which once you get to tier 3, it's infinite. So you're a killing machine for the whole map. Now, it takes forever to stalk the amount needed to actually get to this point, and your movement speed is slowed. So, we have Ruin, Undying, Corrupt Intervention, and Play with Your Food. This is basically just a, please don't do all of the gens in 10 seconds, I want to kill you kind of situation, right? So, you put all of this on, and Play with Your Food to make it speed you up a little bit. And then Ruin and Undying, you know, you get people off, regresses the gens, gives you a little bit more time. But you could always switch it for something like maybe Tinkerer and Whispers to help with the early game. Tinkerer, it won't necessarily stop them, but it'll tell you where survivors are. You can go there and stalk people before they just all run off. Because by the time you get to tier 3, it's basically game over, unless they finish on the gens, which is very, very possible. If you go up against a even a decent team, it takes so long to get to tier 3. It's a difficult combination to deal with. Very hard achievement, and then they can restrict you of your achievement by just jumping into a locker. There's nothing you can do. Very, very hard achievement. Wish you the best of luck, soldier. I'll pray for you. My condolences. So with the tombstone piece, this add-on is way better. As you can see, I've only switched out one of the perks because the movement speed isn't like halved or anything like that. It's not halved in Juice Tombstone, but you are a very slow killer. It's very, very sad. But you don't really need to play with your food. Tombstone piece, you don't need to stalk quite as much. I wouldn't pair it with the, in case you're wondering, don't pair it with the infinite thing because you'll still get pushed back to tier 2. I did it for AFK Myers for very epic reasons. I was just able to down people and then choose one person to tombstone and stuff because I had Blood War and stuff. But most of the time, you're just going to want Tombstone Piece and then something to help you stalk a little bit more. If you really wanted to do something, you could use Nemesis, which every time you're stunned or flashlighted or whatever the case may be, you'll switch your obsession. And Judas Journal, what that does is you stalk very, 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 very fast from the obsession and only the obsession. J. Myers Memorial is whoever you stalk moderately faster, while Judas is considerably. So typically this is the better add-on. Unless you want to run something like Nemesis and play with your food and, you know, all that fun wobbly. You can definitely do that. So, same idea with the other Tombstone build. You just slow down the gens with all of this gen regression. And then Whispers, when someone is in your proximity within 32 meters, it'll go off. This just kind of helps with the early game. You find someone early on, stalk people, all that fun stuff. Okay, so I've decided that is actually going to be all the builds I'm going to be explaining in this video. So like that I feel like I've covered a good spectrum. Of course there are other builds too. There's so much that works with Michael. So when people ask me what's his best build, I don't know. There's a lot that works with Mr. Miguel Hernandez here. But that's gonna be it from me. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope it helped in some way. But thank you all so much again for watching. I will catch you all in the next one. Take care. Sleep well.